refresh and make sure StreamerBot shows up. So you'll see StreamerBot is checked green. Perfect. Okay, so now comes the fun part. So now, you'll set up your actions within StreamerBot, and then you can call those actions from Lumia Stream. Or the other way around, whenever an action triggers, you can have Lumia Stream be triggered. So I'm just going to set up a quick action right here and just call this hello. And I'm going to set up a sub action. Let's say I just wanted to play a sound, play sound. So I have this Lumia Stream jingle. I'm going to open it and I'm going to press OK. So I set that up within StreamerBot. Now I want to trigger this action within Lumia Stream. So I'll go to Lumia Stream commands. I'll add a new command and I'll select StreamerBot tab. I'll select action. And now my actions didn't show up because my settings haven't been refreshed. So just press refresh StreamerBot settings. And now you'll see a hello action show up. So now I can test out this action or add the StreamerBot. Let's test it out before we move on. So now the sound plays and we're good to go. So I'm gonna add StreamerBot there. I don't really want my light to change for this command. I'm just gonna call this SB hello. I'm gonna select no light change. I also want this to skip the queue. I don't want this to be in Lumia Stream's queue. So I'm gonna press apply, refresh, and now if I try to trigger that, I can just do SB hello. And there we go, it's triggered. Now, before we move on, let's go back to edit this command. And I'm going to go to StreamerBot and I'm going to press edit on that hello action. Let's say I also wanted to write to a file. I'm just going to choose a new file on my desktop. I'm just going to choose a text file SB and choose that, press save. So now you see this on my desktop. I'm going to open it and have this showing right here. So you can have text to write. So let's just test this out. I can say, wow, press OK. And now if I test this action out, it'll play the sound and then it'll write to the file. So wow is right there. Let's not have the sound. I don't want to finish playing before continuing, so I'm going to uncheck that. Let me turn this volume down. Okay, so now the interesting part is you could also have variables here. So let's say I wanted to say, let's say percent Lumia var. So now I'm going to press OK. And now I'm going to go back to Lumia Stream. Inside these extra arguments, you can pass JSON. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. I'm going to wrap a double quoted string around it. I'm going to say Lumia var. And I'm going to say, hi, this is Lumia. And of course, I got to wrap this in strings again. So this is a string. If you want to do another variable, I'll show you how to do that as well. But let's just test this action out. Let's test that action out. And if everything worked correctly, I'll open up that text file and it says, hi, this is Lumia. Now, the really cool part is that you can, implement Lumia variables within StreamerBot. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to open up our variables. Let's say I wanted to send over my Twitch avatar of my channel. So I'll select Twitch avatar and then that's actually not right. It didn't put it in the correct place. So I'm going to cut that and move it up. And just make sure you always wrap that in a double quoted string so you don't have any issues. Even if it's a variable, you still have to use those double quotes. And now when I test the action out, you'll see the Twitch avatar showed up inside of this folder. That's how to pass Lumia variables to StreamerBot. We will make this process a little easier if you're not familiar with JSON, but you can also add more variables here. So I could just put a comma and then I could put another key. So let's call this second. Let's just call it second. And let's say this is my second key. Or you could put another variable there. And you can also use that second key within StreamerBot. So I can say percent second key. So let me change that second key. Open this back up. And now you'll see first, and then you'll see this is my second key. Perfect. So that's how to trigger actions from Lumia Stream to StreamerBot. Now let's trigger Lumia Stream on an action. So go back to Lumia Stream. We're going to go to alerts and we're going to go to StreamerBot. And now here you have one action you can do. By default, it's going to say only variations because we don't want this to trigger for every, action that's triggered. You could if you want to, but for us, we're not going to do that at the moment. So instead, I'm going to add a variation. This works on both free and premium versions. as I mentioned earlier. So add a variation, and let's say, let's scroll down, change the condition. Let's say equal to value. And let's say whenever the hello action is triggered, hello, make sure you name this correctly. If you need to, just press edit and copy and then paste it directly. Let's say anytime hello is triggered, we want to trigger, a red color, or let's say a reaction. Let's trigger police. So press refresh there. And now let's set up a voice control. Let's call this hello. Let's say hello. And select my action as hello. So now if I say hello, then the lights will trigger, my action will trigger on StreamerBot, and there we go. You have the perfect harmony of Lumia Stream plus StreamerBot. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you will be able to trigger commands and alerts directly within StreamerBot in their next update. And they'll have, a separate tutorial for that. When someone makes a tutorial for that, we'll link to it down in the description down below. Now you can get very fancy. As I've shown you, that was a reaction trigger, and you can set up your own reaction to set it up however you want. You could create an animation, a theme to trigger your different effects. Like on WLED, there's thousands of different effects you can choose from. And, you can play around with the different settings that Lumia Stream has. And you could tie those to different alerts with, from StreamerBot. So let's say that was just my hello string, but I can, set up another one for another voice command or something like that. And then you set up your stream however you want from there. So I'm going to change this string to something else. I'm going to just say day. And I'm going to set it up anywhere. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we hope you all have a luminous day. Hello Luminaires, Bilal aka Cove here, coming at you with another enlightened tutorial. Today we're talking about studio animations. Now last tutorial we talked about studio reactions, where you didn't have in-depth control of each slot of what you wanted it to do and how long you wanted it to last for. And that's where studio animations comes in. It comes to give you way more fine-grained control for each slot and each part of your animation. So grab your lights and let's light up your stream. To start off, we're going to be brought to our studio dashboard. If you come over here, you'll see the creator, and then you'll see studio, and then you will see animations right here. If you're premium, this is a premium only feature, by the way. So if you come to animations, you'll see your animations that you already have set up. We also have some starter animations. If I download those, you'll see a few different ones. If I test this out, it just goes from water. We have lava, and then we have like fireworks where all your lights just going crazy. We even have flicker. Pretty nice. Anyway, we're gonna press add animation because we're trying to create today our infamous flashbang effect. Our flashbang effect is meant for animations. It's not really meant for anything else, even though you can sort of create it with a reaction, especially if you don't want to use a key light. But we're going to be using Elgato key lights today to create this flashbang reaction. Right now I have an Elgato key light in front of me. There's also one in the top right corner. And we want all of our lights and our key light to go off at the same time after the flashbang audio starts. So to begin, since I'm tying it to an audio, I want to make sure I have this audio in the beginning because I want to time everything else around it. Interesting thing with studio animations is that there's like an edit icon over here on each slot, which is different than a reaction because a reaction didn't have an edit icon where you can, have fine-grained control of each individual slot. So if I press edit, you'll see that there's a duration for each slot. And there's also transition, there's managed lights, there's smart plugs and key lights, there's audio even inside of the slot. Right now, we just need to figure out how many slots we're using. So if I test this audio out, it says throwing flashbang, waits about 4 seconds, then the flashbang goes off. For our use case, we just want to turn all of our lights off first. So we'll make the first slot lights off, and then we'll have a second slot where we want to turn all of our lights on to a color of white. I'll press done, make sure our brightness is all the way up. And now we just got to time up this first slot. So how long is this first slot going to be? We test this out again. You'll see that it took a little too long, but it wasn't that far off. So if I go about let's say 3.2 seconds. I already timed this out if you haven't realized. So 3.2 seconds, and then the lights go off, you see? So I'm going to do that for the first slot. But for the first slot, before we leave here, we also want to turn off our key lights. You just notice my key lights did not turn off. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to add my key lights. I'm going to add my main key light that's sitting in front of me. Then I'm going to add that key light in the top left corner. And I want these both to be off. And I'm going to press done because I don't want to end state. I just want to turn them off. And then in my next slot, if I close this and go to my second slot, I want to turn my key lights on. So I come to edit, manage key lights and smart plugs. I'll turn my key light in front of me on, and I'll turn the light over here on. And I want them both to be sort of the same color. So I'm going to just go 7,000 and 100% brightness. I'm going to press done. I also don't want to end state because I already set up my key lights to have a default state. Oh, actually, I only set up the one in front of me to have a default state. So let's reset this top left key light. I want this to turn back off after the animation is over. So I have an end state to turn the key light air off. If I press done, I can scroll up and let's close this now. If I close this and
what is this road, bro? Oh, it's bringing me down from the bridge.
constant audio. A key light or smart plug to go off on this unless I wanted it to turn on a light that isn't smart. I can have a smart plug maybe. Don't want any MIDI OSC, but these will all be in tutorials in the future, so we'll go in depth with each one. And the crazy part about animation is that you can only not set it here, you can also set it inside of each slot. So if I open up advanced, you'll see OBS/API commands, MIDI OSC input events. Now input events is pretty new. This is where you can have chat control your keyboard. So let's say I wanted to do, you know, Windows key space after every slot or something, or maybe make your mouse go in a circle. That's where you use input events. We'll go into tutorial with that as well in the future. But that kind of wraps up this animation. I'm going to call this flashbang. I want to create a chat command, but most importantly, I want to tie this to a Twitch subscriber. So I'll press refresh here and I'll go back and I'll go to alerts. And now whenever I have a subscriber, I'll set my type to animation and I'll set my value to flashbang. And I want it to only be one cycle because I don't want this to keep looping. So we want it to be one time and then be done with it. So if I test this out, anytime I get a subscriber,
Throwing flashbang.
boom. And it should go back to default state after. Perfect. That's all there is to it. And that's what a studio animation does. It just gives you a lot more fine-grained control to do very cool things. We have some examples in our community with people doing things where they're just triggering one nanoleaf at a time. We can show that really quick. If I go to studio animations, add animation, let's say for each slot, I wanted to trigger a different nanoleaf. So I can go to manage lights and I can do nanoleaf 1, press done. And I want all of the other ones to be off. So let's make all these colors white. Let's say I want to just go in order. Edit each slot, manage lights. Say I wanted the next one to go off. And then the next one, manage lights. So if I test this out, it'll be for 4 seconds. That bottom one went white. Oh, actually, you know what? For the first slot, let's make sure all the nanoleafs turn off. So if I do type and I do lights off, I want to make sure that all my lights turn off. So I'll turn off nanoleaf. Then we'll make the second slot that first nanoleaf here. And we'll set that duration to be only 1, maybe even like 0.5 seconds. And instead of doing this, I'm going to just copy each slot. So copy, copy, copy. I'm going to edit, manage lights, and you'll get the idea. We're not going to go through each nano leaf. Don't worry. Which one is this? So if we test this out, all the nano leaves will go off and they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then boom. Then the animation is over. So you seen that one more time. And we had the first slot sitting for the default 4 seconds. Let me make that a little faster. We should actually just set this to like 0.1. And let's test out one more time. Perfect. And you can, you can get very creative with this at the end of the day. I'm just trying to show you an example. There's individual control for nano leaves, individual control for LifeX light strips. There's also going to be individual control for WLED pretty soon. So you can do some pretty cool things with just one light brand. But that's about it. We're going to see what the community is bringing along for animations. If I go to community animations, you'll see there's some from Code Soci, Good Game Simple, just has audio going off, PC Geeks, which just emulates the popular TikTok that was around. There's Rainbow, which just goes through all the colors of the rainbow. There's Underwater, and you get the idea. Lightning, pretty cool. Symphony, Jingle Bell remix. Now this is before audio. I would like to see everyone kind of re-upload them with the audio, because if I go here, you'll see that they're talking about an audio, but this was before we had the ability to upload audio. So let's get a remix in there where we have, everything being re-uploaded with the audio. But yeah, feel free to explore the community. Feel free to upload your animations. We'd love to see what you all create, especially as you all get more familiar with the different studio items and the differences between each one. Thank you all for joining the movement of lighting up your stream. We hope to see you next time, and have a luminous day. Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about the difference between animations and reactions. You see this come up a lot in Lumia, and you may not understand the differences between the two, but today we're going to give you those tools to understand when to use each one and how to use them best. So if we come over to Lumia stream, we'll go straight to our community tab, because you can see all the different reactions and animations here. So if I go to reactions tab, you'll see different things like, FBI open up, where each slot is a consistent time. So, this is probably like 0.3 seconds for each slot, but it's all consistent throughout the whole reaction. It doesn't change. There's no way to have one slot be, 1 second and another slot be 2 seconds. Same with this Pikachu one. So it works pretty good, but it's gonna run, multiple times. You may not really want it to run multiple times. Maybe you only want it to run one time. And that's where animations come in. So if we go to our animations, then you'll see different ones like this Goku transformation. We also have this blue screen of death, where it's matching the audio that's playing. So you're seeing that each slot was a different time. Now, of course, you can sort of reproduce this with reactions, but not completely. Gonna be very hard to do with reactions, where animations is very simple. So now let's go over to studio reactions. Let's create a reaction where we just want our light to flash blue and red. So we're gonna call this Popo, since we already have a police reaction. We're gonna add 2 slots. I'm gonna make 1 slot red and the other slot blue. And now automatically, if I run this, you'll see my lights turning red and blue back and forth. But that was pretty slow, and you see that you don't have any duration on each slot. Instead, you're gonna go to cycle duration. This is the duration it takes to go through all of your slots at one time. So I have it as 2 seconds right now. That means each slot is gonna be going 1 second at a time. So red will be for 1 second and blue will be for 1 second. But we want that to be faster. We want it to be, let's say 0.5 seconds, because then that means red will be 0.25 seconds and blue will be 0.25 seconds. So let's run this again, and you see it's a lot faster now. Now let's change this back to, let's put it to 4 seconds, because I'm going to create 4 different slots, and I'm gonna make 3 of them blue and 1 of them red. That means for 3 seconds it's gonna be blue, and then for the first second it's gonna be red. So this is gonna simulate a reaction. If you wanted to do a slot for 3 seconds as blue, you would do this as, you know, 3 different slots in the reaction. So if I run this again, it'll be red, blue, and blue would stay, and it'll go back to red. You see, that's how to do that with a reaction. Of course, you can add your audio in here, but it's going to be hard to time your audio up with a reaction. Reactions are meant to run, you know, multiple times. It's not meant to just be ran one time. But of course, you can time up your consumer, which is an alert or a command, to match the cycle duration that you have set in your reaction. So if this is for 4 seconds and I only want this to run one time, I'm going to go to an alert or command. Let's go to an alert. I'm going to choose my type as a reaction and my value as popo. And I'm just going to select this duration as 4 seconds. It's already 4 seconds. So if I test this out, it should be red, blue, and then it goes back to my default state. You see how I didn't go back to red because I timed it up with my cycle duration? That's how to do that with a reaction. Now, this is kind of complicated when you want to time this up with a song. I'm sure you've seen that by now. So we're going to move on to animations now. Now, reactions available for both the starter and premium users, but animations are only available for the premium users. So we have animations here, and we're going to create that same Popo animation. I'm going to call this Popo Annie. I'm going to create 4 different slots, but over here, you see there's no cycle duration. That's because if I press the pin icon, I can select the duration here. So first, I'm going to select that red color, and I'm going to give it a 1 second duration. And now, actually, I don't even need 4 slots this time because all I'm going to need is a blue slot that's going to stay for 3 seconds. So I'm going to change this duration. You could type in here any number you want. You don't have to worry about just this slider because this slider only goes up to 60 seconds. But if you want to be 120 seconds long, you can do that by just typing in here. So I'm just going to do 3 seconds right here. And I'm going to test this out. So it'll be red and then it goes to blue for 1, 2, 3 and done. And now it goes back to my default state. And you've seen that it didn't loop by itself, especially on the test, because animations are mainly meant to be ran one time and be done. But it can be ran in a loop, and it's actually useful for a default state as well, where it's just looping back and forth as well. Now we're going to come back to this modal, this animation modal. So I'm going to press done, and I'm going to go back to the alert. I'm going to use stream offline, and I'm going to select my type as animation, and I'm going to select Popo Annie. Now, as you see, duration is not on by default. That's because, as I mentioned before, it's meant to be ran in a cycle, or how many cycles you want, rather than just one set duration. So if I only want this to be ran one time, I'll select, you know, leave it by default as 1 cycle. You can also choose duration if you want it to loop. Like if I want this to loop, you know, 2 times, instead of just doing 2 cycles, I could do 8 seconds. And if I test this out, you'll see it go back to red, then blue again. So that's how to set that up with a duration, but it's mainly meant for cycles. So let me just show you one more really, you know, useful example animations are good for. I'm sure you all know the infamous flashbang effect. So flashbang. And for the first slot, I'm just going to make all my lights black. And then for my second slot, I'm going to make it white at full brightness. I'm going to turn these all the way down. And now I have to match it with my audio. So I'm going to select my audio. I have my flashbang. I'm going to kind of just time it up. Let's try like 3.2 seconds.
Throwing flashbang.
There we go. That was perfect. So, you know, just like that, I had my first slot 3.2 seconds, then my second slot is 4 seconds, or it could be whatever you want.
Why
Now,
did the
if you want to
car
do this with
apply for a
reaction,
job?
of course,
It
you can do
heard
the
there was
same
good
thing with the
try.
reaction. But the thing is that we're gonna have to make sure that each slot times up correctly. So I can just do cycle duration, you know, 3.2 times 2, which is 6.4. I'm gonna do 2 slots, make a black slot and a white slot. Select my audio again. And now it should be pretty much the same thing.
Throwing flashbang.
Now the only difference is that, you know, it also played twice, but also you've seen that white only stayed for 3.2 seconds as well as the black. And it's still playing because it's meant to be running as a loop, as mentioned earlier. One other major difference is that within each slot, you can do different things like send OSC, send MIDI. You can target individual lights. So if I only wanted a few of my lights to turn off and then have these lights keep on in the back of me, I can do that. I can, select a certain audio for just that one slot. So anytime the white, happens, it can just play another audio. I can trigger my key lights on cue when I need them to, and so many other things. We have the Lumia actions. We even have custom JavaScript. If you wanted to run it on each slot, you can do that. But yeah, you get the idea. Key/mouse outputs is another one that you may be looking at that you may want to use, because you can, allow chat to change things to happen within game, like maybe press a space to jump while you're in the middle of a game or something like that. So many options. You get the idea. I'm going to end this video because it's going a little longer than I expected originally. So if you have any questions, ask them down below and we'll be in the comments. As always, have a luminous day. Hey everyone, Black AI Cove here, and today we're going to go over Lumia Stream's arguably most powerful feature, variables. Variables can be used all throughout Lumia Stream in various ways. You can have text that's used through your various actions that can be updated in one place, say for a URL. You can keep track of your latest followers and allow chat to even prompt to see your latest follower count, maybe on Twitter or Twitch or wherever. You could even pull in your last WooCommerce order, for instance. We also have variable functions where you can even read from a file from your local computer, read from a URL that just gets a GET request. You can randomly roll a dice, choose from different selections, and so on and so forth. Let's jump right in. So to begin, let's start by going over to the variables on the sidebar. You'll see all the different variables you can use. So as I mentioned earlier, you can look at your current viewer count, your current viewers, your followers. You even have your session subscriber count, for instance, if you just want to keep track of how many you got for just that stream. You can read from a file. These are variable functions: read URL, random input, selection. You can get your current song that you're playing on Spotify. You could get the URL, same for VLC. You have various options for Twitter, WooCommerce, and you get the idea. It's just a lot that you can choose from with your variables. One very important thing is that you can add a custom variable. Now this variable can be used all throughout the app. So I'm gonna call this tut. I'm gonna give it the description of our tutorial, and I'll give it a value just for, I'll refresh this, and now this variable has been added to our variables. So now if we add a chat command, let's say we want to get our current, viewer count. So we'll go to chatbot, and now we'll have a variable. It will erase all of this and just we'll put Twitch current viewer count. We'll name this command. We'll call it views. We'll say no light change, and then we'll skip the queue so that chat can always trigger this. Now I can press apply, refresh, and now I can go to my Twitch channel. Now I can put !views, and it'll tell me how many views I got. It just says 4. But we can also, have something that prompts for that custom variable that we just set. So if I go back to chatbot, then I can also use my custom variable. It's gonna show up at the bottom here, tut, and now I can say, this is my variable. And then I can press apply, refresh, and let's try it out again. So we do views, and I'll say this is my variable testing. And of course, if I update that variable, they say, wow, you don't have to refresh when you update a variable. Views, and I'll say this is my variable wow. Now that's just one way of using variable. That's just the bare minimum. Let's say we wanted to allow a mod to update our variable. So we'll call this mod var. We'll select no light change, dynamic options, skip queue, and now we'll use a Lumia action, which is in another tutorial that we'll link to down below. So you can put update variable, you can choose your custom variables. So I have a tut variable, and now I can take in the user's message. This is another variable, so I'm using a variable to update a variable. So if you look at your variables right here, since this is a chat command, you'll see the message right here. You could even update the variable for the last username. So for instance, so we'll show like how to use a chat match to update your variable to the last person who just chatted.
Channel permissions let you grant other people access to your channel data, tools. Click invite, then enter the email address of the person you want to grant access to. Note, the email address you invite needs to be associated with a Google account. Then you can choose one of the access options. Managers can add and remove others and edit everything, but they can't delete the channel. Editors can edit everything. They can't add or remove others or delete the channel. Limited editors can edit everything, but they cannot add or remove others, delete videos or the channel, enter into contracts, or see revenue information. Viewers can see everything, but can't edit anything. And limited viewers can see everything except revenue data, but they can't edit anything. Once you select your access option, click Done, then Save. This will send an email with an invitation to access your channel. The person you invited will need to accept the invitation to officially gain access. Note that channel permissions does not give access to your Google account, and you can remove their channel access at any time. Check out other invitation to officially gain access. This will send an email with an invitation to access your channel, except revenue data, but they can't edit anything. Once you select your access option, click Done, then Save. This will send an email with an invitation to access your channel. The person you invited will need to accept the invitation to officially gain access. Note that channel permissions does not give access to your Google account, and you can remove their channel access at any time. Check out other videos in our YouTube Studio series here.
And you see, click from the text, is it working? And just to show a read URL function, we'll show that read URL. I'm gonna give this no light change again, and I'm gonna delete that, and I'm gonna put read URL. So by default, we have a test URL that you can test things out at. So URL-test, we'll apply this. So now if I just put read URL, it would go and grab the GET request from our server and say hello world. So those are just a very few ideas. In almost every tutorial, we're going to use a variable. So you want to get familiar with variables and understand how to use them. Just make sure you always have your parentheses, 2 open parentheses and 2 closed parentheses surrounding your variable. We have variable functions, custom variables, and then there's regular system variables that can be edited. Each type will also have its own variables. So chat command has username, user ID, command message, raw message, it has user color, and certain things like that. Whereas Twitch points is going to have different things like prompt. It's going to have how many points were used for that redemption, the title of the redemption, and a few other things versus chat commands. And Twitch extensions will obviously have something else as well. But you get the idea. Hopefully this gets you a lot more comfortable with variables, and we hope you all have a luminous day. Hey everyone, Bilal aka Kovier, and in version 6.0, we've now added Twitch Hype Train alerts. We know how long y'all have been waiting for this, so let's get started. So to begin, let's just make sure our permissions are set up for Twitch. So we're gonna go to connections, add new connection, Twitch. Even if you're already logged in, you just wanna make sure you have all your permissions selected. So we have the new allow Lumi to listen to Hype Train permission. You'll also see a lot of Twitch action and mod tool permissions that you can add that can be used in other tutorials. And we'll just press next and then sign in with Twitch. Once you're signed in, just make sure you press refresh, go back to the dashboard and make sure everything is connected. Next up, we'll go to alerts and then Twitch. You'll see 4 new alerts here. You'll see Hype Train started, Hype Train progress, which means that anytime it progresses, and you have Hype Train level progress anytime it progresses a level, and then Hype Train ended. Now, one thing to note is that if you have Hype Train level progress on as well as Hype Train progress, when it progresses a level, it will not also send an alert for progress, just so they're not overlapping. And of course, you can have certain alerts and variations for each one. So we have flash here, we can have flash green here, we could have an animation for level progression, and you get the idea. For variations, for every alert other than the level progress, it'll use the progression value. So if it's at, progression 400, then it will use that as the variation. Whereas level progress just uses the level. So you'll see if we edit a variable, you'll see the condition is equal to number or greater than equal to number. So if it gets to level 2, this variation will go off. So for instance, at level 1, you may want your lights to start off at yellow, then level 2, it goes to green, then level 3 goes to red or something like that. You could also send Twitter alerts or Discord alerts just to give you some ideas anytime a hype train starts. You can do that under Twitter actions. So I have a send tweet here. Hype train started, come join my stream at twitch.tv/LumiaStream. You can do things like send it to Discord anytime a hype train starts using the Discord webhooks. You can write to a file anytime a hype train starts. Maybe you want to log out anytime you get a new hype train. Just so many options you could do. You want to, combine all of the different tools that you have available inside of the Lumia ecosystem together and use them for hype train. Maybe you even want to change a song using Spotify when a hype train starts. So, you may have your highlight song for your stream anytime a hype train starts and it turns to that song. You may want to turn volume all the way up to, 100%. You can do all of that here. Make sure you check out our other tutorials just so you have more ideas of what you can do with the hype train after, you get the alert. And we hope you all have a luminous day. Hello everyone, Bilal Cove here, and in version 6.0, we've added Twitch tools to make your stream that much better. You can automate things from sending a clip to Discord, taking a clip anytime you get a new follower or sub, changing your stream title / category, running a commercial, set subscriber, follower mode, all with chat commands, Twitch points, alerts, Twitch extensions, or any other way you use Lumia. Let's get started. So to begin, even if you already logged into Twitch, you're still going to want to do this. Go to connections. Let's add new connection and select Twitch. We're going to press connect, and now you'll be prompted to enter your permissions. Now you may not have all these permissions in the beginning because we just added more permissions for your Lumia Stream mod tools, which we'll go over in this tutorial. So you want to make sure all of these are selected and press next and connect to Twitch. After you're connected, just make sure you press refresh and you'll see Twitch show up in the platforms right here under connections. If we're all good to go, it'll show up green. Now you can use switch actions all throughout Lumia as mentioned earlier, but for us to keep things simple, we're gonna just stick to commands at the moment, and we're just gonna add a command, and you'll see the Twitch actions tab right here. So you'll see the different types you can choose. As mentioned earlier, you could change your stream title, category, you can set a clip, and then send it to Discord. You could set a clip and then send it to webhook using normal JSON. You can also run a commercial, set subscriber, follower, emote, slow mode, unique chat mode, as well as clearing your chat. And then of course the delay as usual. So let's just start a stream just so we have things running, and let's do change stream title. So let's say we want to change the stream title to the message. So whatever the user puts in, we want to change the title to that. So now we add Twitch. Let's call this command title. We'll select no. Oh yeah. We don't want our light to change, and we want this to skip the queue so people can change the chat as they see fit. We may want a cooldown as well. And let's say we only want users or mods to be able to change our title. So oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we'll press apply, refresh, and now if we set exclamation point title, hey there.
At Ogre Handyman, TikTok.
Immediately to hey there. You can change it back to testing, and you'll see it change to testing. So that's simple. You can even have a Twitch point set up for your mods or anybody else you want to use. Then you can, change your title if you want to. We can do the same thing for category. We'll use the same Twitch action. We'll edit it. We'll just change the title to change the category. And then it will choose the best category that it sees. So if I do message again, save it, and I want to name this cat. Let's name it cat, apply, refresh. And if we do cat, let's do Fortnite. And now I'll change my category to Fortnite. Now that's, we won't go through every different type, but you get the idea. You can set your commercials, subscriber modes, different things like that all throughout Lumia. But one thing that I want to show is how to send a clip to Discord. So as mentioned earlier, we have a full in-depth tutorial of our Discord webhooks and how to use them in various ways. So I'm just going to show a basic way of using it. And then if you want a more advanced way, you check out that tutorial. So I'm going to go to my testing channel. I'm going to edit the channel, and I'm going to go to integrations. I'm going to go to view webhooks, or it will say add new webhook. And then I'm going to create a brand new webhook.
Are you sure?
I'm going to call this Lumia.
Today on the house belongs at Ogre Handyman. Connect with your handyman gaming.
And if you want to add
Twitch.
you can do that as well. And now we're just going to enter that right here, and you'll see the Discord webhook here. Now for the message, we want to say something like new clip taken, and then we just want to put the clip URL. So we'll put Twitch_clip. You'll see the variables show up here at the top, Twitch clip, and that's just the clip that the user has taken. So I'm going to add that here, and now I'm going to says change category. And now I'm gonna name this, I'm gonna press apply, refresh. And now if I put clips in, then we'll see it take a clip, and it may take a few seconds, but then it will show up here. So it's really fast actually. So it gives the URL for the Twitch clip and it says new clip taken. Since it was so quick, there wasn't a thumbnail yet, but you see it right here. And as mentioned earlier, if you want to get more in depth, you'll use our other tutorial, because you could have sent it as a regular webhook JSON and you could have used that, advanced colors and advanced formatting if you wanted to. One more thing you could do if you want to shout out who took the clip, you can use another variable called username. So new clip taken from username, and then you can post the Twitch clip. So I can save that, apply, refresh, or clips in. And now if I go to Discord, it will say new clip taken from Lumia Cove, just to give them their shout out, whoever took that clip. You could even have the avatar show up as the web.
It's so crazy because the one that you said, Chris,
in our other tutorial. One other thing we really didn't mention because we didn't have a tutorial for it, but we also have a new stream live and stream offline alert. So anytime you go live,
Host.
alert go off, maybe you want to using the same way that
Handyman bot at OGU Handyman at OGUR Handyman TikTok
anytime our stream goes live. We even write to a file in case we want to
at OGUR Handyman
OBS.
TikTok.
And using Lumia Actions, which is in another tutorial, you can even set and start stream mode as you see fit. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like and
Host.
below. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification, because we will be posting a ton of tutorials to make the Lumia ecosystem a lot brighter and to make your stream brighter. So we hope you all have a luminous day.
Host.
Hello everyone, Bilal aka Cove here, and in version 6.0 we now have a new commands page that you can use for your viewers. You can set up a command that allows the viewers to check all of the different commands you have in one simple view. So to get started, we're just going to head to the chat bot, and then you'll see commands. Commands is over here on the top right for me. Just make sure this is on, and then when it's on, you'll see you can set your command name. For us, we're just using exclamation point commands, which is also newly added in 6.0. You can update your commands, so lights list. If you don't want to use that as the name, you can change that. You could also change the lights command as well, turn them on and off. From here on out, you may want to use the commands instead of the lights list anyway, so we'll turn that off, and we'll have exclamation point commands. Our message to send is going to be check out the list of commands that can be used here. Then you have your commands URL as a variable. So for our message, we're going to have check out the list of commands that can be used here, and then you have your commands URL variable. You'll see the variable right here. You may use the commands URL variable to check out the list of your commands. We also link to it right here as well. And this can be used all throughout the app, so it doesn't just have to be used on the chatbot commands page. But if we click this, you'll see the list of commands I have right here. So in an earlier tutorial, I was using a command called cool. So you'll see that cool command right here, and everyone who can use it. You could even filter by your user level. So if you're only a follower, you want to make sure that you have follower clicked, maybe anyone as well. And then you can filter based on that to see the commands that you can use. If you're a tier 3 sub, you get to see what you can use there, and so on and so forth. It's a nice clean page. If you all have any suggestions on how we can improve this, please let us know. You can also see your Twitch points down here as well. You'll see that that's in a separate section for Twitch points, and you have your Twitch extensions. One other quick feature is if you press this back button right here, you'll see it's going to lumiastream.com/commands, and it will list the current users who's live at the moment. There will be a quick preview to see their stream in the future. So that is, another cool thing. So Lumia Stream was the latest one. These are people in the beta at the moment. If I got a, Sam Wilson, I can see his different chat commands that he can use. He has some only specific for users and mods, and then he has his Twitch points as well. Also, the command name can be used in chat, of course. So if I go to, then I can put exclamation point commands, and you'll see it show up in chat, that chat bot message that we had, and it'll open up your stream. And it's really that simple. We also have another variable that's been recently added. We have user levels, so you can see what your user level is in chat. So if I refresh this and go back to chat, and I can put exclamation point commands, And you'll see my user levels. So I'm a user, a tier 3 sub, tier 2 sub, tier 1 sub, tier 1 sub, and anyone. And also that can be used throughout chat commands as well as Twitch points, the user levels variable. If you're interested in any more variables, we have a tutorial linked down below in the description that we just added. And we hope you have a luminous day. So to make a shout out command only takes a few steps. We want to first make sure our chatbot is on. We want to refresh and go back to dashboard. Make sure chatbot shows up as green here. If it does not, turn Lumia off and on again and it should be working. Next up, we're going to create a command. It's a chat command, so add command. And then we're just going to name this SO for shout out. We're going to change the type to no light change. And we're going to go over to dynamic options and skip Q. We're also going to add an alias in case someone wants to put exclamation point shout out rather than just exclamation point SO. And last but not least, we're going to go to chatbot. We're going to change this message and we're going to say, let's give a big warm shout out to message. Message is input variable, and then check them out at twitch.tv message. You can see a list of variables here. As you see, message is the remaining message after removing the command from the raw message. So that's exactly what we want. And we'll press apply. So now just like that, if I go over to my Twitch channel, I can put exclamation point SO Lumia stream. And the chatbot will say, let's give a big warm welcome to Lumia stream. Check them out at twitch.tv/Lumia stream. If I click that link, it'll go to our page. So simple. We could even add this as a Twitch point really quick. And the only thing different here is in the chatbot, we're going to change the variable from message to username, because that's who's redeeming this Twitch point. And as you see in the variables, you'll see username here, the username of the messenger who's redeeming it. We'll press apply, refresh, and go back to our Twitch channel and try to redeem SO. Redeem, and you'll see chatbot say, let's give a warm welcome to Lumia Cove. Check them out at twitch.tv/Lumia Cove. Perfect. And just like that, you have a shout out command. To set up Spotify with Lumia Stream, we will first need to head to Connections, Streaming Services, and then Add New Connection. We'll select Spotify and press Connect. On this screen, it will ask you for your client ID and client secret. To get your client ID and client secret, we'll need to create a Spotify developer account. So we'll go to our browser and we'll type in developer.spotify.com/dashboard/login. And now we'll just log in or sign up if you don't have an account yet. And now you'll be brought to your dashboard. We're just going to create an app. We're going to give the app name Lumia Stream and just say connection for Lumia Stream. We're going to select I understand if we agree with their terms and services, and we'll press create. So now on our overview page, we want to press edit settings. And the only thing we care about is the redirect URI. The redirect URI that you're going to put in is https://api.lumiastream.com/oauth/callback/Spotify. Now, all of these links will be in the description down below, so don't worry if you didn't get them in this video. And now we're just going to select add and we'll press save. Now over here, you'll see a client ID and client secret. I'm just going to copy these and bring them into Lumia Stream. The client ID, and there's your client secret. Press connect, and now you'll be brought to your permissions. We're going to press next, and it will ask us to log in. We're going to select agree and open link. Now back over in Lumia Stream, you'll see Spotify is connected and you're ready to go. If you would like to see different uses that you